Hello, everybody. And welcome to Asha USA's 2020 Speaker Series. I'm very happy to welcome today Ms. Sonali Bhatt. She's the expert in the field of human development and counseling, and she will address general concerns of parents as we all get ready to go to school during the pandemic. I would love to introduce Sonali first. She is based in Dubai for the last 18 years. She has BA in psychology and MS in human development from Mumbai University, and she heads the counseling department of prestigious Indian High Group of Schools. She regularly conducts workshops for parents, students, and teachers on a variety of topics, including communication, time management, stress management, and so on. Sensitizing and training teachers is also an essential part of her job profile. She has also been featured as an expert on a number of TV shows talking on these topics. She's known for being a patient listener and developer of solution-focused individual therapy. On a personal level, I would like to say, and I'm very happy that Sonali is my classmate and dear friend from undergraduate and graduate school years in Mumbai. And as young professionals, we conducted workshops together on various topics related to human development. I'm thrilled to share this platform with her again today. Welcome, Sonali. Welcome to Asha USA.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank you and Asha USA for giving me this wonderful opportunity to connect with you all, interact with everybody. And I'm sure the work you are doing is priceless because this is the need of an hour. You're doing a series of such talks which are very helpful, informative, and educating the parents. I think it's wonderful. So congratulations to you and your team on this, Siley.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And, without further ado, I would love for you to start your presentation, and you can share your slides. And, if there's a question or a comment, I would love to jump in. But we are really
Definitely.
looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Siley. I'll start sharing my screen. Hopefully, you'll be able to see it soon. Can you see it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, thank you once again and welcome you all for this particular nugget which we are going to do on a journey from surviving to thriving during this distant learning period or the virtual learning if I think in your part of the world it is called as the virtual learning, right, Siley?
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. Basically, I thought of this particular topic, when I was doing some statistics in my for my school, as we deal with the students of determination, we realized that lot of students of determination were doing excellent during this distant learning mode, and actually we were worried how well will they do because they are not coming to school. We are not able to give them a proper pull-out session, one-to-one session, LSA support. As you know, we give lot of support, but we realize that despite missing out on our contribution, many of them were doing well. And the sheer reason for that was that their parents were really, really involved in lot of their learning, and they were following the instructions given by us. They were in touch with us and asking us, what do we do, ma'am, now? So they realized the hard work which goes behind, making these students perform well in the education system, and they did very well. So I thought if the students of determination can do so well, in this distant learning or virtual learning, why can't the regular or the general student also can do it, provided they have right kind of a support by their own parents. And that is where we will talk about how to support our students, our children in this difficult time which we all are facing. So let's move on.
Sonali, can I ask a quick question? When you say
Sure.
students of determination, do you
Yeah.
mean students with some sort of learning disability?
Yes, Saili. What I mean by student of determination is students who have, say, learning difficulty, specific learning difficulty. It can be ADHD. It can be student on spectrum disorder, or it can be student with some medical condition because of which they are, struggling to cope up with the general learning, and they are not at grade level with their other classmates. That's what I mean by students of determination.
That's a great word. I have heard that for the first time. That's such a great word, students of
Yeah,
determination.
yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, here it is, we have students of determination, we have people of determination also. So the word disability is out of our dictionaries here,
That's
we call them,
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So can we start, Sally?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, as you can see here that first I'm going to address the parents. We as professionals, we as parents have a lot of concerns and challenges right now, because suddenly this pandemic, which we thought would be a matter of 2 or 3 months, it will be gone and over with, has continued. And with that, my school has come in my home, my child's school has come in my home, my office has come into my home. So I'm really pressed with multiple roles, so I'm working from home. At the same time, the economic situation worldwide is changing so drastically. We hear of job losses, big giant companies are, closing, their salaries are reduced. We are also forced to be in social isolation. I'm sure you will agree with me. Most of us couldn't travel this year in summers to our home country, so we were forced to be, in wherever you are, in US or in Dubai. So this uncertainty and lack of control is really, which is putting us or making us feel restless. The consequences are really strong. People have lost kind of a hope. They are getting frustrated, they are feeling anxious, they are sad, they are stressed. We all are going through this. You'll agree with me, Sally, right?
Yes, that's so true. Yeah.
Yeah, and because of this reduced social connections, we all the time we are anxious. And to add to that, media, it is, bombarding with us every day, with looking at the numbers, the politics going behind this, and so on and so forth. So as a result of all this, we are all stressed, we all are worried. And as they say in the airline, when there is an emergency, wear your mask first and then attend to the young ones or the old people. So, taking the same, what should I say, motto, I want to start with telling parents or adults that how they can take care of themselves first, so that they can help their family members. So I just thought, Saili, we'll do a quick activity to just put us in perspective, like what exactly are we talking about. So here is the quick
Yeah.
start with a simple activity. Just pick up a pen and paper and just give it a thought, like say for last 10 days or 2 weeks, what were the situations, any event which took place that bothered you, that stressed you, and you were worried or tensed about it. You can just jot them down, the stressors, the events, or your own feelings as well. Can you just quickly jot them down? We'll give you
Yeah,
some time.
and I'm sure I'm doing it, and I'm sure viewers who are going through this slide right now, there are so many that come to my mind right now.
Yes,
I can't tell you. So I think this should not be difficult for anybody.
definitely. So let's put them down. I hope you all have got at least 3, 4 on your list. Now, next,
Yeah.
what I want, sorry?
No, that's right.
Yeah. So, next, what I want you to do is circle the stressors or worries or events which you had control over, and cross out the stressors or worries which you have no control over. Just to give you an example, on my list, my worry was because I'm asked to go to office and work. I had written that what if my sanitizer gets over? That was my worry. What if I don't have water to drink? That was my worry. So my next worry was, what if my, student comes very close to me and he is asymptomatic and I don't know about it? What will I do? So if I look at my list, I know what to circle, and I know what to cross.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So why are we doing this? Why did I make you do this exercise? Is simply to give you a perspective, or make you realize or introspect and understand that all of us all of us are going through that stress or situation, out of which certain are within my control and certain things are out of my control. So the zone A is something which is mine. I believe, I do, my actions, things that are in my control. And zone B is something which I have no control. So if you look at the slide, it very clearly indicates the amount of effort I put in, my words, my actions, how I treat others. Whether I follow the rules or not is within my control, and my feelings are within my control. But what others think, what what is the economy going to be, or what has happened in the past is out of my control. And those are the things which, if I'm able to separate them from my worry, which is in my control, I think at least I will be able to pay attention to things which are within my control and stop worrying about what is not in my control. So if you will see here, it's the worry which is out of your control, it is like a dead plant. So if you keep thinking about it, if you feel all the time worried about it, it's not going to help you in any which ways. It's like a dead plant. So stop worrying about things which are out of your control, because it's already out of your control and it's over. Either it has happened in the past, but what you need to do is think positively about the things which are within your control. And for that, it is very important in the current situation that we employ generous amount of gentleness and patience to ourselves also. So what we need to do is be compassionate towards ourselves first, so that we will be compassionate towards others in our family, or in our organization, or in our extended family also.
That is such an important point right now, because we always talk about stress and how to take care of it. But right now, the stress around us has to do with being safe physically,
Yes.
as
Yes.
well as being safe in terms of how we interact with others, because
True.
the COVID pandemic has put everybody in an existential state of worry, right? So it is
True.
not
True.
just thinking about things that can go wrong, it is actually working on it so that things don't go wrong, wearing a
True.
mask or keeping
Yes.
distance
Things which
or
are within your control. Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first thing which we need to do. And that's where I feel that we need to take care of ourselves very well. Our well-being is should be on the top of our list. I was going through Michelle Obama's book, which is excellent, and she said most of us feel that taking care of ourselves, looking after ourselves, is like considered as self-indulgence. But
Hmm.
contradictory to that, she says to-do list should I mean any to-do list should have the top priority as the self-care, because only when you are strong, only when you are in a good frame of mind or in the well-being state, can you take care of others. So it is very important that we start with the self-care practices. And as you can see here, Saili, I'm not talking only about self-care means physical care, or just my emotional well-being, but it is very important that we take care of our social and spiritual well-being also, which is very important currently because of the situation in which we are. The societal changes, the norms, everything is changing rapidly. So to begin with, it's very, very important that as adults, as mothers, as professionals or daddies, we need to take good care of our health right now. Because as you rightly pointed out, the safety norms are very important. So your immunity, the way you take care of your sanitization, keeping your surroundings clean, wearing the mask, avoiding crowded places, these are most crucial things which we need to do right now, because we are the models for our children. So remember, whatever you will do, it will be copied, it will be followed by our kids. Next comes our emotional well-being. It is very important that we need to manage how to manage our emotions and not translate or transfer our negativity, our stress in the family. So as we said in the beginning, if you know what is within your control, take charge, do the needful, rather than worrying about things which are not in your control. Know your social boundaries very well. This is very important in the current situation, because media is really bombarding us with lot of information now. So positive social media is what you need to consume. You need to communicate very well. You need to spend time together as a family, because you have to, back each other's backs now. I read a wonderful I don't know what to call it, a story or something. In that story they were saying, when the our sunflowers, when it is crowded, what do the sunflowers do? Where will they turn to get their energy or radiation? So it very wonderfully said, at that time when it is cloudy or there is no sun around, they turn to each other. Isn't it
Hmm.
very wonderful, Sally?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because they each radiate the light that they already
yes,
have imbibed in themselves. So,
correct.
so tapping in the untapped resources. Yeah.
True. So the sunflowers turn to each other. Same way, I feel this is time when we cannot go out, when we cannot have our extended family supporting us. I think that's the time when we need to turn inward within ourselves and with our family. So this is the time to bond with each other and ask for help if you need it. Don't hesitate. Similarly, the spiritual part plays a very important role. If you want to stay calm, if you want to, have peace of mind, it is very important that you spend some time meditating, or even a walk, in the park. I really appreciate, Saili, the way you spend your weekend. You go out, you make sure you are in the parks, you are with the nature. I'm sure that gives you a lot of calmness and energy, right?
Yes, connecting with the nature is the most easy way to de-stress right
Correct.
now. And if we are lucky that we have a lot of natural spaces like parks and lakefronts and even gardens where we can go and just
True.
connect with flowers and trees and water, and that
Yeah.
really makes a big difference. Just 1 hour in the nature is sort of recharging your
Correct. So
spirit. Yeah.
weekly, even if you are able to do it once, I'm sure you are sorted for the next week. So every Sunday, just take a nice stroll, and next working week, you will be all energized in a positive state of mind, and you will be able to definitely give in your best, whatever you are doing. Even putting down your thoughts in journals is a very good way of de-stressing, because rather than keep on thinking about these things, it's always good to pen them down. May it be your goals, may it be your worries, you can just pen them down. Yoga, I have found to be very, very useful, Sally, because we may not be able to do rigorous exercise, especially because of the current situation. Gyms are closed, in my part of the world at least. So what I found, that little bit of stretching exercises, meditation, pranayam, that really helps me to energize myself for the day, and puts me in a positive frame of mind. And
Mhm.
it's wonderful.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Now, as you can see on the right, these are my favorite hormones these days, because we all need to be happy, and these are the happiness hormones which all of us need to activate within ourselves, so that we are able to sustain the pressures which we are going through, and able to work better. So I have made an anecdote out of it called dose: the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. Dopamine is nothing but a reward chemical, a small pat on the back, or just you've made something very nice and your kids just say, "Mama, you have done a fab job." That is enough for us to, we say, yeah, my day is made. So celebrating little victories, celebrating little achievements, because right now it's not a time to look for big achievements, but it's time to, appreciate very little completion of task. Somebody has done well, appreciating that itself, will give you and the other person happiness. Then comes the oxytocin, which is like, a love hormone. That Jadoo Ki Jappi, Sally, you remember?
Yeah.
Which, yeah. So this Jadoo Ki Jappi is nothing but a release of oxytocin. So a little hug, playing with a dog, or, watching even the baby videos I have seen are very, very, I mean, it makes you happy. So
Or
hugging
cat
your,
videos. Cat
yeah,
videos.
yeah, true. So these are the certain small little acts which you can indulge into, and your oxytocin would be released, and you will feel happy throughout the day. Then is the serotonin, which is like a mood stabilizer, which is very, very important. And similarly, the meditation, sun exercise, or even a brisk walk makes us feel fresh and happy. It is just because serotonin is released, so we have to understand that. And endorphin are the painkillers. So watching a comedy movie, a dark chocolate, or taking a bubble bath can soothe you. So you need to indulge into your such things
Yeah.
occasionally, once in a while.
So, I noticed that Sonali, DOSC, this dose that you have
Yeah,
given us, the
yeah,
acronym,
yeah.
all these activities, they are all dependent on us. We can do them ourselves. It is not dependent on anybody else. It's just a matter of taking time during the day to do a little bit of each, or maybe one
Exactly.
activity from each group. And
Yeah.
that's it. You are going to be happy, taken care of.
Yeah. So it's really simple, Siley. Give 15 to 20 minutes every day for some exercise, whichever you like. If you are fond of music, just play it on and dance. Nobody is
Right.
there to watch you or, comment on that. Just do it. Or accomplish little goals which you have set for yourself, which can be just that, planting today, I'll just go in my garden and plant 2 more trees. That's enough for me to be happy. I need not have a big goal. So these are the things. Or giving a hug to your child every day. I'm very, serious in saying this, that even your teenagers, they need your touch, they need a little appreciation from you. Just give them a hug, even if they are doing nothing great, and that will make you feel good. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So I read somewhere that when you give hugs, it is not
Mm.
only for the other person to feel good, it is also for you to feel good because the
True.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's for both.
Have you heard of professional huggers, Siley? There is now a profession where they are actually indulging, or they are professional huggers, just to make somebody feel happy. They do it.
Oh, wow. I have never
Yeah,
heard of that before. I've
yeah.
heard of tree huggers. I've heard of people who go and hug trees in the
Uh-huh.
forest, but
Uh-huh. Yeah, but no, there I'm serious, there are professional people who actually just cuddle you or hug you, just to de-stress you and make you happy. So we need not go that length. We have
yeah,
our
and
family.
there's a
Yeah.
science to hugging too, I'm sure, because I noticed that some people give the best hugs. Some of
Yes.
my friends or
Yeah.
some of my siblings, I really crave their hugs, and especially nowadays that we can't really
Yes.
go and hug when you see someone.
True. Yeah.
I really miss, because some people give the best hugs and you really
True.
feel the love, the
Warmth.
warmth, or the
Yeah, the
comfort
warmth
in
and
them.
love, you actually, you feel good about it. So why not try it out ourselves, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think once we have taken care of ourselves, now it's time to turn towards our family. That how can we take care of our family in the given time? Here it is very important to know that, see, unfortunately, most of us think that worry, stress is only for adults. You know, these kids are in such a they are leading such a comfortable life. They would not have any stress. But especially in the current situation, we have to understand that they are also undergoing a lot of stress. The fact that I cannot go to school, the fact that I have to sit in one place in my home and study for so long, or my exam is also, I don't know whether it will take place or not, is definitely worrying to even these children, right? So it is very important for us to understand, first acknowledge and accept that yes, my children, my spouse can also have worries and stress. I'm not the only one who's going through. Then what are the signs and symptoms which I need to be vigilant or careful of noticing in them if it is causing a distress to a level where they require external support, you know? So I have just put down few signs and symptoms. Like in primary kids, you will suddenly see thumb sucking has come back, bedwetting could be there, or they have suddenly become very clingy. You know, they are just chipkurams, as we say. They will just, you know, be with you. They want to be with you all the time. There can be sleep disturbances, loss of appetite, uh, fear of darkness, regression in behavior. Like suddenly a grade 4 child can start behaving like a grade 1 student, and they can be withdrawn and they would be in their own shell, so to say. So if we observe any of these behavioral changes, that is something which we need to address as parents. First, try and talk it out with our student and with our children. And if we cannot, then please don't hesitate to talk to your friend or a mental health professional or a counselor who is available to help you. Then in the middle school children, these teens or tweens, so to say, they'll be irritable, they'll be aggressive, they'll be clingy, they may have some nightmares. uh, School avoidance can be there, even if it is not that they are physically going to school, but going on their virtual class also, they will be hesitant. They may have poor concentration and withdrawal from activities, and they wouldn't want to connect with their friends. So again, be vigilant and try and notice if any of these symptoms or signs are seen in your child. Then comes the adolescent. They can have sleeping and eating disturbances, agitation, conflicts, physical complaints. You know, suddenly I have headache, suddenly I have pain. So all these things are indications that there is some stress within them, and they are not able to address to that, or able to, you know, cope up with the current situation. So we as parents need to be vigilant.
So, Sonali, this is
Yeah,
really, can you go back to the earlier slide?
sure, sure,
So I
sure.
wanted to make one more observation because
Yeah.
I have heard from many parents that uh, many age groups, like almost
Hmm,
all age group kids
hmm,
nowadays, they
hmm.
find it difficult to get up in the morning and start their day, even though
Yes.
schools have started. And the
Yeah.
main reason behind it we have found is that there's lack of a formal schedule which was there before, when you actually got up in the morning, went to school, did your
Yeah.
activities
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
like that. There was a proper lunch time, proper snack time. And now suddenly all they have to do
Hmm.
is just get up in the morning and sit in front of the screen for their
Yeah.
school. And
Yeah.
so there's lack of motivation or boredom and nothing
True.
to look forward to.
True.
So it is very important that as parents we give them that sense of schedule by saying, even though you have to just get up and sit for your school,
True. True.
still, if there's something they can do in the morning just before starting school that gives them pleasure or something they can look
Yeah.
forward to, that would be good. And another thing is, because there's
Hmm.
so much time on their hand when they don't
Yeah.
have anything to do, it's
Yeah.
like empty mind is devil's workshop,
Devil's
right?
workshop. True.
So
True.
that's the tricky part right now, where we have to
Yeah.
keep the kids engaged.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, Saili, let's go through the slides which are coming next, which will answer a lot of the questions you posed just now. As you rightly pointed out, the lack of daily routine is one major reason for seeing slackiness and lack of motivation among children, you know. So as parents, it is very, very important and crucial for us to keep the day structured. Even if I don't need to dress up and go to school, it is very important for me to get up on time, take my shower, and go to my virtual classes on time. For that, I suggest, you know what, as parents, we need to do this school space. If you can separate it from my bedroom, I will be able to understand that this is time for me to have my studies now. So this place is dedicated for my school hours. So have a formal study time, quiet place, and make a separate place which is designated only for my school time. That is, it's like, you know, physically going. I'd seen a pretty video where the mother actually, you know, drove the kids to her backyard from her front yard, just to give them a sense that now it's time for you to go to school because you are
Yeah.
not going. So this is very important. Then your eating and sleeping time needs to be monitored very well. As you mentioned, Saili, that they have lot of time on hand, so it's very easy for them to continue playing on the video games or be on the social media depending on the age. But that needs to be monitored by parents. We have to be very, very careful in doing that and do it in a very you know, democratic way, so to say, because rules cannot be imposed onto them. So if you sit together with your child and make the schedule which is acceptable by him or her, I think half your battle will be won. It is very important as parents for us to even communicate with the school, because unfortunately it is my personal observation that school communicates so much through their website and emails, and a lot of, you know, care letters are sent, protocols are being sent, but unfortunately even educated set of parents don't even look at them. So I urge all the parents to, you know, go through the communication which is done through your school. Be in touch with your students, teachers and peers, because that will give you a lot of insight as to what is happening at the academic front. And contact your school and ask for their recommendations. There will be a lot of resources which are available online, which can be utilized. Rather than playing a video game, you can ask your child to, you know, make a ppt on that particular topic or something like that. So make use of those links which your school will be providing. I'm sure they will be doing it. Then, as I said in the beginning, your involvement in your child's learning plays a crucial role in how well he or she will study. So you have to make sure that not monitor, not sitting next to your child if they are old enough, but just pay a visit when they are learning, you know. Ask them, do they need any help? You can do that. Put your sibling, older sibling, with the younger one and ask them to read or help them in the homework. So it becomes an enjoyable activity. It becomes something which I'll look forward, because now I'm not going and interacting with my peers, my friends. So I'm missing out on that. So it is important that you take up the job of that friend, you know, you sit together and eat some snack with your child in their break time. This is what you need to do. Also, as we said in the beginning, celebrating the success. Now it's not time to you know, lay down very high expectation and putting pressures on the children, because they are also trying to adjust to this virtual learning. So even if they have submitted their assignment on time, they need a pat on their back, they need your encouragement and appreciation. Then it is very important that you know, multimodal approach is what you need to adapt now, because as they are just sitting in front of the laptop or tab, they are not experimenting, they are not learning. So if you can give a hands-on experience of what they are learning in school, that can be done at home. Something like, for example, they have learned about measurements, so you can actually give a tape to your little one and ask them to measure, we want to change our curtains, so what should we do? I mean, give them some task and they will be engaged in that task and they'll enjoy it as well.
And I really want to emphasize that in doing all this, whether it's structuring the day or deciding the schedule or asking the child what activities they would like to do, it is very important that the kids take ownership for what they
True.
decide. So
True.
it should
True.
feel more like he or she wants to do it rather than the parent telling just because you are telling I'm doing it. No,
Yes.
it has to
Yes.
be ownership.
Yeah.
Another, I always like to say that is involve your kids in your household chores. That's
Yes,
one
very
thing
important.
that South Asian parents never think of. Whether it's doing the dishes or cleaning some area of the house or just vacuuming or whatever it is, whatever, shredding. We have piles of papers in the house that we always say, okay, this I will shred later, and then the pile gets high. So if you have middle school age kids or younger even, you can teach them how to shred using a shredder or whatever it is. What chores you have in your house, but involve them because that gives them sense of ownership, that they are doing it because it is their house too. It is not, they are not helping the mom or helping the
True,
dad.
true, true. So delegate, delegate the work, assign it, and don't forget to appreciate when it is done. Yeah, Riley, I would like to add. I mean,
Very good.
sometimes what happens is, you want it to be done in a particular way, and then it becomes a power struggle. Let's take an example of folding clothes. This happens at my home, so I'm giving this example. I like it to be folded in a particular way. So my daughter was doing it, and then I gave her instructions that don't do this, don't do that, and all that. And then she said, Mummy, stop nagging. Do you want me to do this or not? And I realized, yeah, I mean, it's as long as she is taken up the responsibility of doing things and she's performing, she's doing it, I should be happy and not look at the perfection in it right now when she is just started doing it. Once she it becomes a habit, she'll do it better, I'm sure. So I think as parents, we need to be a little patient with our children. Once delegated a job, wait for them to do it and appreciate once it is done.
Can I also share one example, Sonali?
Sure, Siley. Sure,
So, same thing. Once this COVID thing happened, everybody is under lockdown, and we have this house full of people, and we are having 3 meals a day and a lot of dishes in the sink. So initially we were doing it and I realized, oh my God, I have to cook and then all these dishes. So I got frustrated. And so I talked to my kids and I'm like, this is a lot of work, can't you help? And so we took it up as a problem. Okay. So the problem is the dishes are piling up in the sink and we want to take care of them on time and not one person is doing it so that we can share. So my son came up with an idea. He said, why don't we do this? Every time anybody uses any dishes or spoons or anything, they have to immediately rinse it and put it in the dishwasher. I said, wow, that's a great idea. And but the only thing is, for that the dishwasher needs to be empty before, right, from the previous clean dishes. So then that means somebody has to also take care of that. And so we worked out a system and it worked for a few days. But it helped because then it was like he solved the problem, he took the ownership. So that everybody in the house put their dishes in the dishwasher. So I think let the kids take a little bit of responsibility and involve them in the process so they feel they are part of it and not just being asked.
They are not doing it just because we have asked them to do, but they are doing it because they, first of all, they enjoy it. It's their responsibility also, and it's expected of them. We have delegated that job to them, so they should do it.
Right.
Yeah. Now let's move on we looked at the ways in which the virtual learning can be supported by parents. But if the students are required to go to school, I don't know, have you adopted the hybrid school system, Saili,
Yeah,
in
so in our state, or let's say in our school district, for example, they have
Hmm.
given a choice. So some
Mhm.
kids have chosen to go
Mhm.
to school. So hybrid means they go to school two
School
days
for
a
few.
week.
Yes.
They go to school 2 days a week and stay home 3 days a week to do
Correct.
virtual
Correct.
learning. Yeah.
Correct. So similar, we have adopted a similar approach. So that is why it is important. We looked at, say, 3 days of home learning, how to manage that. But if and when they are going to school, these are certain very important things for us to, take care and support our children with. First and foremost is to be a good role model, because we have to stress on the preventive nature, that it is important to wear mask, which we mentioned earlier, Sally, that why it is important to wear mask, why it is important to follow the safety precautions. And if we do it, it will be followed by our children, so we have to be good role model and stress on the prevention rather than cure. Then we have to be careful in talking about this COVID-19, because a lot of rumors, lot of information will be floating around. So as a parent, it's our duty to make them understand what is real, what is true, and what is inaccurate information, which we need to ignore and not to get worried about. It is also very important for us to encourage our children when they are going to school. Talk to them, ask them how are they feeling about going to school, what are their thoughts on going to school, because as I said, they could be also worried. They can be excited that yes, I'm going to meet my friends in the school. At that time you need to say, yes, we understand that you are excited to go, but similarly you need to maintain all the safety protocols. So be a good listener, listen to what your child has to say. And we also have to use very optimistic language, because if as parent ourselves say, oh, I am scared that you have to go to school, you will touch here, you will do that, you will not wash your hands. If you are just talking about all these things which the child would not be doing according to you, you have to stop doing that, because as you know, you will transfer your anxiety onto your child. So instead of saying don't do this, don't do that, you have to tell them what they are required to do. So how they need to, maintain distance, how they need to wash their hands regularly, how they have to follow the cafeteria rules. All these things need to be discussed in a very, open communication is what is going to help us make our children understand what they are expected to do when they are going out to school, or it can be to a mall, anywhere they are going. So we have to, talk to them about this and also model it in our actions.
This
Now
is
here,
very easy to, like the previous slide
yeah,
you said, and that's very important. It is, we understand, but it is very difficult to put into practice.
yes.
And I have had people tell me that couples disagree in terms of whether their kids should or should not go to school or hang out with
Mm-hmm.
friends and things like that. So I think
Yeah,
it's very important for parents or the guardians to be on the same page,
page,
because
yeah.
if mom is saying no, you stay at home and you do virtual learning, and the dad is saying no, he can go to school, it's fine, he'll be fine, then the
Mm.
child also gets that dilemma,
Yeah,
so it is very important that parents talk to each other and figure out a way before they communicate to the child. Otherwise the child will be conflicted too.
yeah, yeah. This is true, Sally, not only in the current condition, but otherwise also laying any rule as a family rule. Any disagreement should not be, discussed in front of the child. Whatever, as parent, you need to have a united front, and you need to discuss it before you express or you bring these particular rules as a family in front of your child. Just take an example, like we have a family rule that at night we switch off our modem so that the net is not connected, because otherwise we know children can, till 12 1 o'clock they can just go on with their smartphones and all that. So as a pair, as a united front, we decided at 10:30, 11, whenever we are going to bed, our modem will be switched off. And I felt that was the easiest way to have control over, the consumption of net or consumption of social media by these children of mine. And of course we had resistance, of course we had a lot of argument, but we discussed it out, and we as mother and father, we were firm that this is what we will be doing. And then it took us say 10 days, 15 days of little resistance, but now it has become a norm in my family, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
idea. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let's move on. A special care for teens. This I thought, Sally, because of my son. He was in his uni, and every time I would make him a call, he will be out taking a stroll in the park, and I would see him without mask. I will see him sitting next to his friend, and I would be like, "What are you doing, Dada? There is a COVID situation," and he'll be like, "Oh, but the statistics say that age group 18 and above till 20 till 25 is the safest age group where we cannot have any contamination, or we'll not get affected." And then I had to explain to him that it's not that way. The argument would go on. I don't have any comorbid condition, I am a fit individual. And I would say, yes, I agree with all that, but you don't know what is the person next to you, whether he's a asymptomatic carrier. You don't know all that, and that is where you need to be careful. It's not a question of fearing something or living in a shadow of fear, but it is something which we need to be careful about. I said, at home nobody is telling you to do anything, but when you are out, when you are going for a shopping, it's a must that you wear a mask. It's a must that you keep a sanitizer with you. And then slowly and gradually, when he actually read that yes, it's nothing to do with your age or race or your gender, he realized no, things are a little serious. And that's where I think the protocols were followed. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I
That's
think we
very
were this,
important. Yeah.
yeah,
Again, the
very,
same thing, adolescents, like
yes,
after age 14 or so, they are at an age where they can really understand
yeah,
the emotional, the physical, everything. They can think from all different aspects. So it's a good
aspect.
idea to talk to them as if you would talk to another adult
Adult,
and
yeah, you have
explain.
to rationalize with them. You
Yes.
can't just impose anything. And as we were discussing, making them responsible for their actions, so it comes everywhere. May it be their study, may it be their safety, may it be the responsibility they need to take at home to share household work or anything. It applies
Mhm.
everywhere. They
Right.
are responsible, and they have to do accordingly or act accordingly, right?
True. True. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let's move on. Here, I just thought I'll put some, for general well-being. We have talked about how to take care of their DL or the virtual learning, how to train them or teach them when they are in the face-to-face mode. But now it is very important that we maintain or we try and enhance the general well-being also of our children. So for that, self-regulation is most important. What do I mean by social and emotional well-being, Siley? Is it is our capacity, so to say, to manage our thoughts, feelings, and behavior positively, so that we can enjoy our life in the current situation, we can maintain positive relationship, and we can work towards the goals which we have set for ourselves. So how do we do that? As the first point says, self-regulation. What do I mean? It is important for us to be calm and proactive. We have to regulate our feelings, and similarly we have to model it out to our children, that we cannot throw a temper tantrum, we cannot be aggressive, or we cannot be suddenly crying over things in front of our child. Only when we discuss that even I am going through this phase and this is how I cope with it, that is how our children will learn to regulate their emotions. We have to make a responsive environment. What do I mean by responsive environment is, it's like address the elephant in the home. Talk about the current situation in a calm manner, address doubts and queries of your child, and make them responsible for what they are doing. Then engage in the self reflection. It's very important that we ask our children to get in touch with their feelings and emotions. We have to tackle the loneliness, and we have to help them develop friendship. This is very, very important, Sally, according to me right now, is because for past 6 months, almost more than 6 months, they have lost touch with all their friends. They haven't had a summer break as such. There was nothing normal about going to school, and that is where it is very likely that they are going to feel lonely. And that's where we as parents need to pitch in and be friends for them, whom they can share things, they can talk, and they can express or vent out any anxiety if they have. Gratitude journal is what I found to be very, very useful with students, because see, what happens is, in the current situation, we have to understand that we are so thankful for what we have. I think that is one feeling which all of us need to have right now, which will help us to pull through this situation. So as you were saying, you are so thankful that you have a beautiful nature around you. You are so thankful that you are working, and your jobs are secured. You are so thankful that your children are doing so well in their school, or you're sharing a good bond with them. And if we know that all these things I have, I should be happy about, and I should be thankful about, then I think it will help us to be happy and continue in this situation. And one positive affirmation a day is a must. You have to praise your child, you have to engage with your child, so that they feel generally secured about the whole situation, and they feel that they are taken care of, and their well-being is important to you as parents as well.
Yeah,
Shall we
those
move
are
on?
great. Those are great points, Sonali, and those are
Yeah,
true again for grown-ups as well as kids.
yeah,
But as grown-ups, we can help kids with these general tips for well-being.
yeah. It's very essential that we follow this, and Sally, on the right, as you will see, I purposely put this up about the 8 touches during a day. I'm sure you are aware of it. At any age, minimum 8 touches are required for any child to feel secure. So as a parent, by touch I don't mean a hug all the time, but a pat on your back, just brushing their head, or just giving them a tap, shaking hand with them. As parents, we need to do this on a regular basis, especially now, because there is no other significant adult now whom they are in touch with, or their friends. So we need to do this on a regular basis. Now comes a point of dealing with trauma. I feel, Sally, this is very important right now. When I was thinking about this point, I suddenly got reminded of Gautam Buddha's journey. He was living such a, I mean, he was a prince, and he was living a rich life where he had never seen a poor guy. He had never seen a sick or old person. And when he saw a person dying, that was a turning point in his life. Somewhere, I feel this is linked with our children also. They are blessed to have parents who are doing well. There are no financial worries, and they live in such comfort that they actually have not seen poverty. They have actually not seen old age and the suffering. And as we live away from our home country, they are not in touch with their grandparents as they would have been if they were in India. So I feel for our children, this particular phase through which the whole world is going through is definitely very traumatic. They are seeing it for the first time. So if a family member or somebody whom they know has been tested positive, it's going to, scare them. It's going to make them really fear and feel insecure. And that is where we as parents need to address that. So first and foremost, advice to everyone is, do not dismiss or eliminate that worry. Say that no, it's okay, it's going to be all fine, don't worry, you should not feel that way. I think that's not what is required, or it's not going to help our teens to, or children to, manage their worry or anxiety. But for that, first and foremost is, we have to acknowledge their feelings, that yes, what you are feeling is right. It is a worryful situation, it is something which we need to take care of. So validate their feelings. At the same time, give them a sense of control, that okay, this has happened with somebody, and that is where it is important for us to stay healthy, and we have to take safety precaution. We have to do some exercise every day, so that we can take care of ourselves and not to be in trouble. I think we all need to do this. And along with that, there can be a death or a bereavement stage. So say somebody who has a friend has died because of COVID, or back in India, things are going in a very haywire kind of a situation. That's where I think we need to invite them and talk to them on one-to-one basis. It is very, very important that we talk to them and listen to what they are experiencing or they are feeling, validate what they are thinking about, be available to support them always. Don't try and cheer them up, rather give them space to express their loss or bereavement. And if you feel things are going out of control, your child is really struggling to cope with the loss, please seek help of mental health professional.
And I would also like to add, and
Sure.
this is so important to understand, that all of us as a humanity are experiencing trauma right now. And that is because of loss. And it need not be only disease or death, but it can be loss of a job, loss of the lifestyle that we knew existed. It is all gone,
Correct.
whether it's
Correct.
school, work, or family life.
Yeah.
And so it is very important that instead of denying it, just try to deal with it, or just try to come to terms with it is the first step.
True.
And as you rightly pointed out, in the last 8 weeks, personally, I would say every week I have heard at least one or two situations where either a friend or a relative or somebody I know in the community has experienced either the disease or death due to COVID. So this pandemic seems really real when it comes that
Yeah.
close to you. And
Yes.
it gives you a sense of, that this is for real. It is not something that you just hear in the news. So
Correct.
that trauma is definitely there. And even if you have not experienced, or your child has not experienced it directly, it's a good idea to talk about these things with your children, so that they
Yeah.
at least get a second-hand sense of how to deal with such a situation.
True.
Because everyone will have to deal with it in one way or the another.
And if not now, tomorrow this situation can arise. So it is always good to prepare them that, if this happens, what is expected, or how can we deal with the situation. So this is kind of a training them in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what I thought parents can do. I thought that we may have some educators with us or teachers with us. So how can teachers support the parents in the current situation? Because as we started, we realized, in the beginning, I said that now the parents have become teachers, right? You are at home and you are closely monitoring your child's academics. You are involved with their learning. So it is very important that you realize that how teachers can support parents. So first and foremost, I feel teachers are really, hats off to all the teachers who adopted so quickly to the virtual mode of learning. And same time, they are not taking care only of the academics, but they are taking care of their own digital, should I say, IT learning. They are also taking care of the well-being of the child. They also have to deal with parents, and there are different type of parents. So as teachers, I think if you can work closely with the parents, provide them with the resources which are easily available online, listen to them every now and then, make them feel experts, because putting them in a higher position will make you a good teacher, because they will start listening to you. Help practice them compassion. Take feedback from the parents regularly, because now they are the one who are closely observing your students, so to say. So provide them with all this help. Then teachers, as I said, they have to upgrade their IT skills now. Learners need to be kept occupied in a meaningful way without being overwhelmed. This is a very, very, catch 22 kind of a situation, because children know the what should I say, the digital mode of learning better than some of the teachers. So making their virtual classes engaging is a very, very difficult task. They have to make different groups for communication, for learning, keep them at different levels based on their learning and understanding. And that is where teachers would require to really support their students in variety of ways. As I was saying, they are not taking care of only educational part, but they are also doing support, or they are expected to support the psychosocial well-being of the learners. So as a teacher, it is very important for you to understand and recognize that each child is unique, and each child's reaction to the pandemic will be different. So acknowledge that, accept that, and treat that child accordingly. Create a safe and positive and supportive environment, because when students are coming into the school on in the hybrid mode, they need to feel safe and secure. So it becomes a primary duty of the teacher to do so. They have to support the learners, communicate and express, manage their anger and frustration, because variety of emotions will be displayed in the current condition in the classroom. So as a teacher, she needs to deal with all this. She has to give lot of affection and caring to the students. Tell them that you are available for them, so give them a listening ear. And it's kind of, you are the counselor for your own students of your set of class. So the teachers are actually going through a lot right now. And I would just like to conclude by saying that inshallah we will weather this together. We all will survive this phase. We just need to keep our positive set of mind, keep our well-being in our hands, and work towards surviving, or rather thriving through this phase.
Thank you so much, Sonali. That was really valuable.
Yeah.
And I think you talk to all age groups. You not only talk to the parents of different age groups, but also about kids and teachers.
Yeah.
And I think this
Try to.
conversation was very, very informative.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people will see this video and come back to it again and again, because there are so many informative nuggets, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for giving us your valuable time. And I do not have any more questions, because I think you answered most of my questions.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. And we would love to chat with you again sometime.
Thank you so much, Sally. As I said, thanks for this wonderful opportunity. I'm also looking forward to get in touch with you again, and hopefully not about COVID. We will talk about some other issue, and we will be out of this situation very, very soon.
Let's hope let's hope that this pandemic is over and everybody stays safe, and we come back and talk about some happy things and some other nice things to connect and chat about. So again, thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.